Hey, good morning. It's Mike with _𝐸𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. Here's a house where the realtor asked me to come out and clean the carpet as the prior owner, their pet made a couple of barfy marks under where the bed was, and the homeowner, the new homeowner who gave me the tour, I forget if she expressed concern or I just asked her if she knew how to take care of all this LVP that she just inherited, which there's quite a bit. And you can see from the shine, I don't think this is gonna fool anybody into thinking it's wood. It's just too shiny, as you can see. But a lot of people don't know how to take care of this, including us carpet cleaners, so I'm gonna do a little video on the whole prep of it. But the number one thing I look for when I first enter a job like this is the baseboards, and then what is the floor? Because these are MDF, medium density fiber baseboards, that if my cleaning solution gets under, there we go, the gap, it's gonna swell out. Luckily this floor is not dirty, so I don't need to get within maybe 2 inches of that baseboard, so I'm not worried about it. On other homes this is obviously a very quality home, as you can tell, but cheaper track homes, they're going to be uneven, and I'm worried about the cleaning solution that I mop down finding its way under those baseboards and creating an explosion of sorts. It ends up looking like cauliflower. So I will oftentimes either point out that it needs to be sealed underneath, some silicone of some sort that her husband, or their handyman can do, or I'll offer the service as well. And I have many videos on how to apply it. But I basically charge, $125 an hour to roll around on my cart, injecting silicone. I do a beautiful job. You can't tell it's there because I color match it to whatever paint color they have. And then come back a few days later, clean the floor. Next thing I'm concerned about is, what is the floor? Which, this is the easiest and best way to tell. And when you're fortunate enough to have a heat register, you can examine the construction of the plank. And these are solid vinyl. There is a slight little black cushion on there. I saw the plank, a loose plank, when I was here last week. But nice tight gaps. No solution's gonna get in there because I clean at a very low PSI, as you'll see later. So I'm not worried about water getting under that floor to the cushion, because that is a concern nowadays, because they're using all kinds of goofy cushions on these things now that can get absorbent. And you would want to be careful around any access points. So you always want to look at the floor, make sure that the gaps are nice and tight. And the problem, especially in this petrified desert, they'll oftentimes, Mr. Homeowner will buy this at Saturday at the Home Depot, not realizing they just got it in on Friday, and then you'll install it on Sunday, and the plank never had a moment to acclimate to the new dry conditions here. And a month or two later, a lot of the planks are gonna shrink, sometimes up to 1/4 inch, and they usually shrink on the narrow end, and would leave a gap. Obviously, you would not want any water or cleaning solution getting in there. More carpet, some marble. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is, this floor doesn't even need sweeping. They did such a great job. And unfortunately, they're really not even gonna see the difference because it's not dirty, but she just wanted to know that it's as clean as it can be, and she's getting a head start. Although, see that line right there? That's a little cause for concern. That may be around the rug or something that used to be there, but I'll pay attention to that later. So no need to sweep or dry vac this floor, but I will take my Hydroforce and spray about 4 good puddles in this room, far away from the walls, and then use my flat mop to move that cleaning solution around. And virtually anything you use on carpet, from neutral to a pH of 14, can be used safely on these vinyl floors. You're not gonna hurt it. I'll move it around with that flat mop, which has the The agitator strips, we'll call them. Let it set for 10 minutes, and then use the 𝐟𝐸, world's greatest multi-surface wand, at about 200 psi. Soft water, actually on this floor, because it's dark and you got all this light, I will run an all fiber rinse, which knocks that down to about a 4.5 pH. And it's just like using the spot-free rinse at the do-it-yourself car wash. It just keeps hard water spots, which this area is kind of known for, from developing if I don't dry the floor, which I try to avoid because it just takes more time. And I price this at the same price that I do the carpet at. So what you see here is pretty much what you get. And I priced it at $600, and I doubt it takes me an hour and a half to do all this, which is pretty darn good. So be on the lookout for abnormalities. I can see something right there, a little bump. I don't know if you see that. There you go. Something's under there. But not much to be concerned about, but that's something I would point out to the homeowner. Say, hey, keep an eye on this, make sure it's not going to get any worse. Sometimes I'll take the grout brush on a pole with a chiseled edge and hit the edges that are not MDF, especially in front of the range, around the toilet, if that's the case, and in front of the sink where people splash more. A CRB would be handy on this floor if it were dirtier because of that wood grain. But a lot of cleaners make the mistake of using the black or brown brushes, thinking that's better for hard surface. In some cases, such as, I don't know, flagstone, slate, concrete, it is better. But on a faux wood grain, those little lines are very thin, as you can see. So you want to use a soft brush, not the very soft, not the gray, but the white. And those thin denier, as they call it, bristles will get in there and flick out or remove or scrub loose the gunk that collects in there on dirtier floors. So remember that. The nice thing about CRB is it doesn't splash water all over like a 175 or even an OP could do. All right, I think that's enough of the headway. Let's get down to brass tacks. As luck would have it, the contractor left a bunch of samples from the various floors, and there's two small pieces of this luxury vinyl plank product here. So let's take a look at it. Under different light, you can see that groove that I was talking about that you'll need the soft brushes to get into. You can see the click lock system that's just on two of the sides, one short, one long, and then that cushion. And you can see how thin that is, right? 1 or 2 millimeters. But that helps provide a quieter atmosphere, less clickety-clack. When this stuff first came out, they wouldn't have any of that, just because this can pose problems. It can swell and shift and bubble and do weird things. But people didn't like that clacky sound, so they started putting all different kinds of products under there. There's just basic rubber, open cell rubber. I've seen cork and various types of foam. In California, they have a tofu version. And those are the things you got to be careful of, water getting into those. If you spend any time at flooring stores, you'll see the great efforts being made to make these click lock systems waterproof, rubber gaskets. You'll even start to see grout being used again, typically epoxy grout, to keep water out of the gaps. So spending time in flooring stores, particularly Floor & Decor, which is probably the greatest flooring store ever, as you should go to a major city tomorrow and find a Floor & Decor. Take your wife with you. She'll absolutely adore it, as they have a bunch of mock-up kitchens and bathrooms for you to see this stuff installed. But they have all the latest and greatest, plus the supplies to install these floors. So you get homeowners and the contractors buying from Floor & Decor. But that's a big thing, and it needs to become we'll just call it a hobby of the professional carpet cleaner, to understand how to identify these floors. And it starts with spending time looking at the backs and the sides of how these things are constructed so you can understand the absorbency, any potential heat issues, and the durability of the wear layers. This is probably at least a 20 mil thick clear decal over this photograph of wood, and that's what you're dealing with. That's what you're going to scratch and gouge. It's not a wear layer like, floor wax or anything aftermarket applied. None of these products need that, despite what the coating companies will shove down your throat, but that's a topic for another day. But besides vinyl, you want to learn what all these types of products look like front and back. These are just the granite backsplashes. This is all the leftover stone. But again, you should be able to walk into any home, business, or church or anything and be able to look at a floor and have at least a 90% accuracy of what it is, and in your mind how to go about cleaning it. And if you make that your hobby for the next 6 to 12 months, and every building you walk into, study the floor. Don't be shy about asking, in a residential setting. Say, oh, Ms. Jones, this is a great looking floor here. My wife was thinking about getting something like this. What is it? Is it vinyl? Is it laminate? Is it real wood? The photograph's so good, I really can't tell. You're there to clean the carpet. She's not going to think less of you if you don't know what it is. And she probably already knows you don't know what it is, whether you realize it or not. But do that for a few months. Ask to see their garage stock, maybe an invoice, or at the very least ask for permission to lift their heat register and look at the side profile. And once you become familiar from the flooring stores with what all these different side profiles look like, then you'll be able to quickly identify it. And in no time at all, you're going to be able to just look from above and determine what they are. But when you first go to these stores, you're going to be kind of overwhelmed with how many different ways they can make a plank look like wood that isn't. All right. Maybe listen to that a couple more times. Let it sink in if you're not familiar with Flooring ID, and let it sink in. All right, here's my tools of choice. One is the 2-jet 12-inch world's greatest Green Glides hard surface wand. Not so much for the swivel, which is handy when you're working around toilets and furniture, but for the extreme recovery you get, incredible suction. And with 2 jets, you don't get any of the streaking or blowouts through the edge brushes, which is real common with the 14 inches. And the angle on we'll call it the ankle over here, is super nice in that it doesn't leak when you swivel it. So real easy to push. I keep my swivel tight, or as tight as possible. And most importantly, unlike some of the hard surface wands, this kitchen has really high coverage, or kickboard, or whatever you're gonna call them. But it gets all the way to the edge. Cleans to the edge, just excellent. Beautiful job. And then I'm gonna use the Hydroforce there to spray 4 or 5 puddles. And then my flat mop with the little aggro strips. And then the very chiseled, I just call these interlink grout brushes because they were the first ones to sell them to our industry. And I put them on the Mops Direct extendo poles. So let me show you real quick what that looks like. So I'm essentially going with the grain on a rinse here. And you can see how well the tool extracts. So I really don't need to do a dry stroke. Merely going with the grain because of the bristles. You go against the deep grain like this, especially with a brand new bristle that this one is, it can be a little challenging one-handed. And I'm obviously filming and just pulling it in. Otherwise, if you hold on to this thing anymore and driving the long head. But here's the floor. extremely dry, and in this high desert climate, give it 5 minutes, and you're not going to see any mist on this floor. I don't need to go back with a bonnet or put fans down. And just doing this one room, I don't want the solution sitting for too long in case for some reason I missed a gap in the floor somewhere. I don't need it getting underneath. Usually 200 to 300 feet at a time is what I like to do. And recommend. That's really just one pass of rinsing on most vinyl floors.